Hello, folks. Tonight's chat is gonna be about sound and its own size. As you can see here, I have a pair of high quality earbuds. Got a large magnet of 13 millimeters inside and sound wonderfully. Here I have a pair of over-the-ears headphones. Of course, a larger magnet. Here, a small bookshelf speaker, and on his side, a large bookshelf speaker. As you can see, it's almost double. And moving down, we have a very large floor stander, three-way speaker. Because folks, when it comes to the audio, the size, and I have to add even the weight, matters. Bigger is the speaker, bigger is the sound. So the earbuds are fine as long as you move to the over the ears or on the ears headphones, and the sounds is by far bigger, and so on. Move to the small shelf speakers, the size increases. Here on the larger one, even more. And when it comes to the floor stander, it turns huge. So tonight's topic is gonna be, does the size matter when it comes to the audio? And I think, as I mentioned before, it matters. So, floor standers or bookshelves. Let's make one thing clear. Even though they are called bookshelves, to place them on the shelf is the worst idea after hanging them on the wall. So please do not do it. A stand is gonna increase the sound stage and the image dramatically. So please never, never ever put the bookshelves on the shelf. Always a stand, because the speaker, even though it might be front ported or back ported, as is a case of the small bookshelf speaker, they need air to breathe. I personally started, as most of us audio enthusiasts or audiophiles or music lovers do, with a small bookshelf speaker. Afterwards, I went for the large bookshelf speaker, and the sounds increased dramatically. To go finally for a very large floor standers. Which is, as you can see, a three-way floor stander. So possibly you got a hint, guys, which way to go. Each category has its own pros and cons. Let's talk about and see and dissect first the bookshelf speaker and start with the pros of bookshelves. Usually they are cheaper than the floor standers. As you can see, the footprint is smaller. The bookshelves are better at disappearing, so you can hear the music, but it's hard to distinguish where it's coming from. Some folks say that bookshelves are even better at imaging and sound staging than the floor standers. And as you can see, they are less bulky. Let's move now to the cons. Why it's not good having bookshelf speakers? First, small speaker means small sound. There's no escape to the laws of physics. As I mentioned, need a stand, which is an added cost. Usually, the sensitivity of bookshelf speakers is lower. So, in order to get full satisfaction, you need a more powerful amp to make them sing the way they are supposed to. They are good at near field, but not so good if you listen to the music from the couch because of their size. And finally, they have trouble filling a large or medium room with the sound. Let's move now to the floor standers. Why having the floor standers? Having the floor standers, the first thing is the obvious one. They are big, they are large, so they render a big sound. Given they are larger, they normally have higher sensitivity, which means are less demanding with electronics. So, even a not so powerful amplifier or even a tube can feed them properly. And that's very important. As you can see, they don't need a stand, which is a saving in the final cost. The bookshelves normally are two-way speakers, as you can see. That's the tweeter and the woofer, which covers the mid-range and the low register. So the mid-range has to do both tricks. render the voices, the instruments of the music, and the low end, while a floor standard normally are three-ways speakers. What does it mean, three ways? They have the tweeter for the high frequencies. They have normally a mid-woofer for the medium frequencies, and for the low end they have, as it here is the case, a bigger woofer. In this floor standard is a 15-inch, 6.5" for the mid-range, and 1-inch. Here in this case we have double tweeters, and this is a very, very important advantage the floor standards have over the bookshelves, because they have dedicated drivers for each frequency: highs, medium, and low. And that's not the case for most of the bookshelf speakers. Now, having a floor standard, normally you have the satisfactory sound pressure even with a low volume, so they are good at low volume listening, which might not be the case for the large bookshelf speaker or the small one. A floor standard can render with grace and effortlessly complex music from, say, a symphonic orchestra, where the bookshelves struggle to do it the way the floor standards do. And last is the pricing. As I said, the floor bookshelf, the bookshelves need a stand to shine, which is an added cost. If you see the prices of a certain speaker line, they have the bookshelves and the floor standards, and very often the floor standards of a given line cost more or less the same as a speaker with a stand. So rather than buying a bookshelf speaker and a stand, get the floor standard instead. For the same cost, you have bigger sound for the same money, which makes a lot of sense. What are the cons of having a floor standard? The main one is they are big, they are bulky, as it is here the case. So Their presence is obvious. Some folks say that they are not that good when it comes to the imaging and the soundstage, even though in my case I wouldn't agree. And the floor standards are more suitable for a large room. They need space. But it doesn't mean they don't sound good in a small room. I had them in a small room and they sound perfect. So, my take is, instead of buying bookshelves, go for the floor standards and you won't regret it. You'll be rewarded with a bigger sound, a lot of oomph, punch, and satisfaction. Rather than going the way I did, from a small to medium bookshelf speaker, and then to a floor standard. Save your money and do not buy them. Go right away to the floor standards. Thank you, folks. Have a good time and take care.